Hello students, very good morning. How are you? Fine. Okay. In the last class we have come up to factors affecting payment design. Now what are the various factors? These factors, all factors which we deal are mostly common for both flexible and as well as rigid payment. There is no much difference. On some aspects, some factors may be additional we have to consider for flexible and for rigid, as the case may be. Those things we dealt whenever we come to that point of time. Okay? Now, in general, these are the factors. Design wheel load, which includes maximum wheel load, axle configuration, contact pressure, ESWL. That means equivalent single wheel load, ESWL. Repetition of loads. These are all come under design wheel loads. Next, climatic factor. Definitely climatic factor also will influence on the design of payments. You have to consider climatic factors invariably depending upon different localities. Next, payment component material. We have already been dealt with in detail various component materials which are used in the road construction, and all the tests we have completed, virtual lab test, and you know in what way the different properties of the aggregates are to be evaluated and how it should be correlated so as to obtain good quality material which are to be used in road construction. Okay? Next, design wheel load. Little bit detail we will see. Maximum wheel load. It is used to determine the depth of the pavement required to ensure that the subgrade soil does not fail. In such a way, the maximum wheel load is to be considered. Apart from that, what will be the pressure which is developed because of the application of load on the surface of the pavement? It depends on entirely the size of the tire and imprint area, contact area. That's why it is known as the pressure caused due to the contact between the tire and the pavement surface. It determines the contact area and the contact pressure between the wheel and the pavement surface. For simplicity, elliptical contact area is considered to be circular instead of elliptical contact area. In practice or actually, it is considered to be circular for the sake of convenience to formulate. Design wheel load. For that we have to see axle configuration. Scooter only 2 wheels we know. Auto rickshaw 3 wheels with single tire, both front and rear. Whereas in case of buses, it is not so. You must have seen front wheels will be of single tire, whereas back wheels are of dual wheel, like this dual wheel. Scooter, auto rickshaw, even car, passenger car are of single wheel, both at front and as well as rear. Apart from that, you can see in case of tractors, tandem axle also. Not only 2 tires at the back, but at the same time there will be tandem. Here it is dual. Dual means 2. Tandem means both with respect to tires and 2 pairs of dual. That is nothing but tandem axle. And tridem axle also are invariably being used on roads. They are coming to ply on roads. Ply, P-L-Y, ply. Not P-L-A-Y, not F-L-Y. It is absolutely ply. Ply means coming on to the road. That is the technical word in highway engineering or transportation engineering. Clear? Now, design wheel load, whatever it is coming over the pavement through the wheels, total individual loads applied or coming through the wheels will not be applied into the pavement. How it is? You look at the figure. I do not wish to read the typed matter. Just I will explain with the help of figure itself, and there is a formula to calculate ESWL, equivalent single wheel load. The name itself suggests it is not exactly twice the value of P, which is shown here, acting on the pavement, but it is equivalent to a single wheel load. How it becomes equivalent? In this way. Suppose if D is the spacing between the inner wall of the tires as shown, and S is the center to center spacing between the two tires, then theoretically we can calculate ESWL with this help of this figure, this formula. We have to plot a graph also on semi-log paper, taking Z as the depth on x-axis, that is abscissa, and P, wheel load, on y-axis, that is ordinate. Here it is assumed that the relation between any 2 points exists straight line. Suppose if I consider one point as d by 2 as shown in figure here, d by 2, coordinates of the points say A and B, d by 2, comma. In order to have this point A, we should have two coordinates. Am I right? One is x coordinate, that is d by 2. Another coordinate is with respect to P, that is here 2s. Okay? d by 2, 2s. d by 2, P, first P. d by 2P, and here it is 2P, 2s. 2s and 2P. Okay? With respect to load, it is considered as both 2P. 2s is the distance. So, from figure, theoretical concept can be understood. Up to the depth d by 2, why we are considering P? Because the load P is acting independently, that is shown by arrows. Whereas at 2s and beyond 2s, the load will be distributed with overlap, with sufficient overlap. You can see here overlap. Can you see? Can you see this overlap? This is overlap portion. That's why the stress at surface and up to d by 2 is much higher than the stress caused because of the load at 2s or beyond 2s. That means the total load coming over it will not be exactly addition of two loads P and P. Rather, it will be equivalent to a single wheel load that can be calculated by plotting on semi-log graph. Based on that, you will get the equation to find out ESWL as log base 10 ESWL is equal to log base 10 P plus 0.301 log 10 whole multiplied by Z by d by 2 upon log base 10 2s upon d by 2. Is it clear? So, while calculating ESWL, necessarily you will be given the data of P, S and D, Z will be given. Just substitute, direct substitution. This numerical problem can be asked just for 3 marks. Be remember. Even in competitive examinations also, such simple questions can be asked for 2 to 3 marks. Even sometimes in competitive examination 2 marks, the question may be asked because it is very simple. You have to remember the formula, that's all, and you have to calculate in 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Okay? Next. Repetition of loads. You see, it is always to be considered, unlike other structures like buildings. What happens in building? Only load is coming over it. Dead load, live load, wind load. Whereas in case of highway, there is no effect of wind load because it is constructed over the solid soil subgrade. No wind load effect is accounted for. But number of vehicles which are continuously moving over it means repeated loading, not with single vehicle load. It will be repeating n number of times, you can say. Continuously vehicles are moving means every point of time of vehicle which is arrived at that particular point on the road surface, load is applied. Since road is constructed throughout the stretch of say 100 kilometer, 200 kilometer, 1000 kilometer continuously, unlike building structure, we should not consider. We have to separate it separately. That's why repetition of loads come into picture. You have to consider the repetition. Cumulative effect of number of load repetition is also more significant. Although the pavement deformation due to single axle load is very small, the cumulative effect of number of load repetition is significant to cause more deformation. That is the meaning. Therefore, modern design is based on total number of standard axle load. Standard axle load, usually 80 kilonewton single axle. Next, climatic factor with respect to temperature and variation in moisture condition also should be taken into account because wide temperature variations may cause damaging effects. Pavement becomes soft in hot weather and brittle in very cold weather, that you are aware. Variation in variation in moisture condition. It depends on type of the pavement, type of the soil type, groundwater variation, etc. It can be controlled by providing suitable surface and subsurface drainage. So that is the importance of drainage, which we have already studied in the previous units. Under previous unit, we have studied about surface drainage and subsurface drainage. That is the more significant structures, drainage structures which are to be planned, designed and constructed so as to remove the water or also to control these variation in the moisture condition. Characteristics of pavement material that we have already studied in detail. Just we will see the titles. California bearing ratio test we have done, elastic modulus we have seen, Poisson's ratio we have seen how it should be used in different aspects. Further, in case of rigid pavement, we will come across these elastic modulus and Poisson's ratio, resilient modulus, etc. are the main parameters. Okay. The following material properties are considered for both flexible and as well as rigid pavements. When pavements are considered as linear elastic, the elastic moduli and Poisson's ratio are specified. If the elastic modulus of a material varies with the time of loading, then the resilient modulus is selected. So, resilient modulus has to be selected only when the modulus of material varies with the time. Otherwise, simply elastic moduli and Poisson's ratio are specified and used in the design. Now, design procedures for flexible pavements. So, this we will see in the next class. Okay? Thank you. Goodbye. Have a nice day.